Hello, everyone. I'm Danny Dixon, and I'm your moderator today for Meet the Candidates. And again, we have three of our candidates running for county commissioner this morning. And again, I'd like to begin with starting off with Brian.
Hey friends, I'm Brian Barrier, and of course I'm running for county commissioner. I am a lifelong resident of Burke County. I've spent 6 years in the United States military. I've married Michelle. She's a public school teacher. I've been there for 29 years, and we have two sons, Luke and Trevor. And I'm really excited to jump in the race here. To be quite honest with you, I didn't really want to run, and we'll talk a little more about that here in just a little while. But a little bit about my background. Got out of the military in 1996, was in industry where I worked on the floor building furniture, high-end metal furniture. Got into leadership there, ended up getting into sales. Did outside sales, I've done inside sales, retail sales, and been in sales management for most of that time. And was a district manager with an auto parts supplier, so I managed about 15 stores, multi-million-dollar budgets. Hundreds of employees, so I've got a lot of experience at looking at budgets and overseeing people. I won't say manage them. I had store managers, and that's kind of the role I see here as a commissioner. I don't want to micromanage our department heads. We got a lot of good people in the county working, but I certainly want to be involved and just make sure things are running right, make sure the morale of the people out there, people are feeling good about their jobs. And I've read some things about maybe some of our county employees don't always feel appreciated, and so that's just a little bit about me to kind of get us started here.
Yeah, good. Brian is great. Mike?
I'm Mike Stroud. You guys know me from Stroud's Building Supply. I've been here since the 90s. I transferred up from Rock Hill, South Carolina, York County, to help run the Lowe's up here when they were building the new Lowe's. Used to be out here at G&G Art. Y'all guys all know that here from Burke County. And built a team there, and I'm all about customer service. I've been in business for 25 years now on the bypass, Stroud's Building Supply and Steel Trusses. My wife works at Aldi, or did work at Aldi. She's working for us now, and so we're excited about serving the citizens of the community, and excited about facing this race and giving people options.
And Shawn?
Yeah, my name is Shawn Freeman, lifelong resident here in Burke County. Been in law enforcement my whole life. That's what I spent my career in, serving the community. I did move off for a time at Ballhead Island, where I was the assistant chief of public safety. I went from there to Beach Mountain as chief of police, and ultimately retiring out of Black Mountain as chief of police. My wife and family have always been very in tune with the needs of the community and giving back to the community. And that's what we're wanting to bring back to Burke County is what we're used to doing in other communities. It gives us an opportunity to do it in our own community now.
That's great. Thank each and every one of you. Mike, I'd like to begin with you. Well, why are you running?
Well, I'm running first of all because I feel like the citizens really don't have a buy-in, as Shawn talks about. Everybody's running with something, and they're doing things, and people, they say they communicate with people, but people are not being communicated with. I run a business, and it's very important that I treat every customer every time. That's my business, and that's like that in any business. Sure. And when it comes to the government, you walk in a place, it's like Monsters Incorporated. I'm a family guy. I got kids. You remember old Mike Lewowski or whatever his name was, and you had the lady that was always there, what you got, Lewowski? I don't like those kind of people. I just have to be honest with you. You're going to be in public service, and you're going to serve people, retail or business or anything else, you got to wait on people. You got to be nice. You got to be friendly, because we're here to serve the people. And I don't think that we're really here serving the people, because I know as the people, I don't feel like that. When I go to get something done, when I go to find out something, it's always I'm stonewalled, or it's always you got to do it online. You come down to me, you're going to get customer service, and it should be like that in the government too. So that's one reason I'm running, because the commissioners and everybody else, I believe us three as a team, we're going for the sweep. That's just our team. We feel confident that we feel represent the people, so that's what I'm running. I'm running on supporting the people and let the people's voice really be heard and making it friendly again to do business.
Those are all very important issues. Shawn, I'm going right back to you, please.
All right. So initially, I kind of wrestled with this a little bit. I'd been asked as early as back in last March and April to consider running for county commissioner. But I'll be honest, with 30 years in public service, especially law enforcement, there was a lot of years I missed things with my daughter and my family and stuff like that. So I just kind of wrestled with that. now I've got a new grandson who's 16 months old now, or 17 months, just turned 17 months. But anyway, I was wanting to focus on my family.
Sure.
So I kind of just wrestled with it and put it off. Me and my wife talked about it, and of course she always supports everything that I do.
Sure.
And then ultimately in December, I just had a group of people coming up saying, "Look, there's just so many things that are wrong, and we know how you are, and we know that you're good at building teams. We know your communication skills and communicating with the folks. And a lot of these folks knew me from chief's positions, and they knew how I engaged the community and kept the community engaged with us. And they said, look, this will be a perfect opportunity. Why don't you consider it? And so ultimately, that's how I ended up meeting Brian. Is we filed on the same day. I think it's 2 days prior to the last day to be able to file. And so ultimately, I just seen a need, kind of like what you were talking about, Mike. A lot of the folks were just saying, look, nobody's listening to us. Nobody's giving us an option to say anything, or even when we do, they don't take that input and use it, or at least acknowledge it. And they were talking about, how high the taxes have gotten and things of that nature. And they were absolutely right. I mean, when I started looking at mine, I realized the fact that our taxes have jumped so much that if you're a young couple just starting out, or you're an elderly person that's on fixed income, I don't understand how you're living in our community right now. It's just gotten that high.
Yeah.
So when I started looking at those things, and I guess why I didn't pay attention to it is because I was so focused in the job, like many of our blue-collared workers in this community.
Yeah.
You go to work, you work your 8 or 10 or sometimes 12-hour days, and you come home and you're focused on your family. You have to tend to your family. Sure. It doesn't give a lot of time to look at what's going on in the government. And then when you do look online and things of that nature, there's not a lot out there to tell you what's going on.
That's right.
And so, I was just that guilty. So the more I delve into it and was looking into it, it really prompted me to take a more serious look, and that's why I ended up running.
Thank you. Brian?
Well, I don't want to be a hog. I better tell you, because my list is long, and so I'll try to condense it just a little bit. So
That's
if I
okay.
get a little long-winded, somebody kick me under the table, and I'll shut up. But quite honestly, folks, I didn't want to run. I'd been Republican Party chair from 21 to 23, and so I got to know a lot of people in the Republican Party, and I think the guys that are in there now would tell you I tried to reach out and communicate and be fair with everybody while I was there. And politics are ugly and dirty, and we all know that. And so I tried to keep the peace a lot of times, and I always appreciated all the work that everybody did, because regardless if you agree with people or not, it's a sacrifice to have public service. But as I left being the party chair and had some time to kind of refocus on the county and started asking myself some questions and looking at the budgets and watching the commissioner meetings and just asking myself questions about, as a district manager, 15 stores, walking around and talking about operations, a lot of things I learned in those capacities and in sales about how you treat people and how you manage budgets.
Sure.
And I always thought, I worked at the local Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealer as a manager, and I always thought that I spent every single dime like it was coming out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
And so I just got to digging into our budgets, to our minutes of the meetings, and just started finding things that I wasn't happy with. Like, for instance, Shawn talked about the taxes. And of course, these county budgets are tight. There's no doubt. I mean, there's things that are mandated. The current commissioners will probably tell you that. They only have so much control over so many things. But here's something I know. The size of the government in Burke County continues to grow.
Yeah.
We continue to purchase, and we continue to add people. And here's my personal philosophy. Now, I didn't come up with some big team with these guys. Like Shawn said, we met. Ended up talking to Mike because he filed, and gave him a call and just said, hey, why are you running? I was kind of asking the same questions.
Sure.
And it seemed like we had some common things, and I'm sure we both got differences of opinions, but we had some common things about transparency and communication and some tax things, and so of course we've all been trying to dig in. We hadn't been there for the 10 years that some of them have been, and we realized, hey, we need some fresh eyes. We need some fresh eyes in the county, because I think anybody can become complacent if they've been in a position for a while, and you've got all these outside groups coming in and talking to you and pitching you on what you need to be doing, and of course you're trying to get along. But back to that taxes thing, folks. Every single time we purchase land or we build another building, and we've got this land that we didn't have before, that's part of your tax base coming off. Okay, nobody's ever going to pay tax on that again because the county don't pay tax. County don't create anything. They don't do anything. They serve the people. And my philosophy is on any kind of government, and we all see it in the federal government, it's completely out of control. But even down to your local government, government is only designed for essential services. Period. When I say essential services, I'm talking about fire, EMS, police, that kind of thing. For instance, I had one of the law enforcement, somebody that works in law enforcement, come to me and say, "Hey, I hope if you do win that you'll consider, what's going on." And I said, "Hey, I got news for you. Law enforcement, number one. We got
right.
Government's designed to
We
protect
love it.
people and serve people."
That's right.
And so that's just one of the things. And when you start digging into the budgets and looking at the spending and the growth, maybe we'll talk about some of this later. But there's plenty of things that we're doing that I don't agree with. I'm not saying that the people that are in there aren't working hard, but they got an agenda, and I feel like the agenda ought to include citizens of the county. And it's not. We all find out about stuff after it's happened. That's true. And I don't know that, you might be their best friend, and that's fine. But if you just take a serious look at it, you're going to know that what I'm telling you is the truth. The decisions are made without any citizen input. The comments on YouTube are turned off, for instance. And I'll tell you this, I went to one of the commissioners who was chairman at the time when I was Burke County Republican Party chairman, and I said, "Hey, give me a one-page recap about what's going on in the Board of Commissioners, like the big things. What are y'all thinking about spending money on? What are y'all doing?" And I'll get that disseminated through the Republican Party because they're all Republicans. I'll put it out through the email system we got, put it out through our social media pages. I'll get the information myself.
Yeah.
And I was told by then chairman of the commissioners, "Well, Brian, it's on YouTube. They can watch the meetings live. And then they can go back and watch them later." And I said, "Listen, people don't have time, even if they're concerned about what's going on, because nothing against pet of the month. But when people get home, I love pets. I got 3. But we just put stuff on those meetings that are fine to cover and go over and talk about. But the citizens themselves, they want to know, how's all this going to affect me
That's
and
right.
my family and my taxes?" If you'll just give me the one-page recap, and I couldn't get that done, and that frustrated me a little bit, and just some other things I think we might end up talking about. I don't.
Well, that's the start. That's
Yeah.
the start. That's just one instance. Most people feel like that when they're dealing with the government. There's just a wall right off the bat. I've been in business here forever, and it's just been a wall. I talked to a contractor the other day, just a contractor pulling a permit. You can't just pull a permit. They can do it online. Well, okay, I don't have a computer. He went down there, where's the computer? Well, it wasn't on. Well, how do you log in? Nobody's helping anybody. It's like Lowe's and places like that. It's like, do it yourself now. And that's fine for the people that know, but people want customer service. People want to know when you walk in a restaurant, when you walk in the government, you walk in a business, somebody's there to greet you and say, "Hey, can I help? Can I assist you? Where'd I go?" Or "Get the heck out of here." That's what most people feel right now. They feel like, "Get the heck out of here. We're not really concerned. We got it under control." It's like an abusive relationship. "Hey, woman, you get over there and do that." That's the way the government feels like sometimes. "Hey, you people get over there working for you, get over there and do that. We'll take care of it. Trust me." I don't like that. And it's got to be good for everybody. And it's got to be good for the citizens and we the people.
Well, and going back to what Brian said, he talked about the essential services being, really emergency services. And let's look at why people in business move into an area. They move in because it's safe.
Yeah.
Look at the exodus in New York and California, these places like this of big business, leaving those areas because of smash and grabs and different things that are going on that won't be prosecuted. But it's because of a lack of safety these folks are leaving.
That's right.
If we want to draw people into this area, you're absolutely right. We have to focus on those essential services and ensure that the area is safe.
Yeah.
That draws people in.
I really believe that. And it sounds like you guys are operating as a team, of course, have the same concerns. And those are some of the concerns that I hear out in the county as well, too, talking with Burke County citizens. So, so what are you going to do to make a difference serving the citizens of Burke County when you're elected? Mike, I'm going to defer the question to you, please.
Well, it's real simple to me. This ain't rocket science. Everybody seems to be so educated. You got to be educated to run things, But the people are educated. The people, it's pretty simple stuff. We all sit under the highest law of the land in all of our courts. I'm just excited that we got a law officer that has already done all these things, that's going to be a commissioner, to take care of the safety, because we all about the police, we all about the firemen, we all about making those guys the heroes, and they got to be involved in too. It's a family for us. This is like a family business in the county, and we want our family taken care of, and the family's not taken care of. You ride around, you look at the streets, you look at the telephone poles, I mean, it's got to come up. Now, I know there's things we can do. You know me, I'm about making money, and I'm about greeting people and taking care of people, and that's where it starts. Running the fence line, having a motivated manager, having somebody that's accountable, somebody looking at the numbers, and citizens knowing what's going on. You get the citizens involved and around, man, we're going to build it the best. We got to have the best, but we're not going to be pushed around by people that not informing people.
I get that. Brian, what's your difference?
Well, kind of piggyback a little bit off what Mike's saying. You bring up a great point about getting citizens involved. I think we might talk about some of this stuff. But before I make any decisions that are major decisions, me personally, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to be going out on social media, and I'm going to be going out in the community and talking to people, and I'm going to let them know what's going on and get their feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, things happen, and there's no citizen input, and that's frustrating.
Very
I mean,
frustrating.
because maybe it's a great thing, but if the citizens aren't involved, the taxpayers, the one that have to fund all this stuff, I mean, man, that's what got me fired up
Yeah.
to even run. I'm
Yeah.
like, I have no say in this. It's kind of like the taxes. They did the reevaluation, and you got 30 days that if you don't agree with your value, you can fill out an appeal form. And I'm like, well, no. I mean, I'm running a business. I own the Blue Ridge Christian News. I got people in 6 counties to cover. I don't have time.
Well, that's where the
put it
product
all
breaks down.
put it all back on the citizen.
Yeah, it's got to come back around. You're right. Everybody's busy, like you were talking about. We're blue collar people. We busy, man. We're making things work for everybody, and that's the way it works. And they got to have some help. Sean
Yeah.
talks about that a lot.
Sean, what difference are you going to make when you're elected?
So, I think it goes back to what these guys are saying. First and foremost, we're talking about building a team here within the commissioners. Well, the team is not just the commissioners. The team encompasses our community.
Yeah.
And I think before, and far too many times we spend copious amounts of money to determine if we want to do a project before we ever reach out one time to our community
Yeah.
members and say, is this something that we would be interested in as a community?
That's right.
So I think, when we're talking about these big projects, such as the mega site that we may talk about later, I think really we should put a referendum out and get a voice from the people. Is this something we need to look further into? Give us your thoughts on this.
Well, that's
You
where
know.
they're going at right now. Just trust me. Just trust me. We got it taken. We got y'all taken care of.
Well, and what did Ronald Reagan say about
Verify.
that? What did he say? The
Those 10
worst
words.
Yeah, that's right. We're from the government, we're here to help. That's the same scenario. So again, I think for me, it's when we take office, the point will be is that you will be informed. We're not going to say sit there and watch the whole YouTube video. There's going to be synopsises out there. There's going to be places you can go to through our social medias, maybe through things such as what we're doing right here, where we're going to give you a synopsis of what's going on. But I can guarantee you this, when the three of us are elected, is the fact that you will be informed, you will be a part of the decision process, and we will be your voice. It's not what Mike, Brian, or Shawn wants. It's going to be what our citizens want.
So I guess what you're telling me, Sean, is you'd be in favor of maybe having a community forum, say having meetings different places in the county.
Look, when I was a police chief, and again we'll talk about the after wake of George Floyd, there was so much backlash out there, and what a lot of folks thought was this is the normal procedure how law enforcement works. Well, what I did was I went into the different various parts of the community. I think I may have talked about this before, is, in those communities, if you pay attention, if you are a good leader, and I'll say this about leadership, that, you alluded to, I think leaders are born. What college does is it helps hone those skills to make them a little better. But when you're in those communities and you look, people, if you watch people, you will know who the leader in that area is. So we formed a stakeholders group.
You do.
Out of each of those communities, and we pulled them to the table, and we started educating them on what we did as a police department, such as we already had duty to intervene and report, and we'd had it for the 4 years that I'd been there. We had
Now, what is that?
basically, if somebody's doing something that is wrong, it's
Okay.
against policy, it's a excessive use of force or whatever.
Okay.
If there's another officer there, they have to intervene and stop that.
Okay, yeah.
And they have to report that to the supervision so we can deal with those issues, because that's people you don't want in your department.
Right.
And so we develop that, and I think that's still kind of the mindset we take here too, is we build a stakeholders group. You know, we got stakeholders, we got business owners that are very smart in this community.
Yes.
We got a lot of community members with tons of experience that we never tap into.
That's right.
So we pull in, you know, a stakeholders group. I think that's how we start this process of rolling is build a stakeholders group.
That sounds good.
I want
Brian,
to
what- yeah.
I just wanted to dovetail on that for a minute and talking about some things that, you know, I really have a vision for, which I think I was very successful working in auto parts, having all those stores. You know, I love going in and checking on people, seeing what the morale is, checking on the condition of the buildings. You know, I was pretty disappointed that if you looked at the 2020 budget retreat, they call it, for the commissioners, you know, they always get off site for a couple of days and come up with a strategic plan, and which is a great idea, by the way. But when they were going over the facilities, and we had somebody come in and give us a report on, you know, we're going to rate these buildings that are county owned from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best condition. And of course, we do have a lot of really old buildings in
Sure.
Burke County, some of them built back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And we've done some stuff to them over the years, but you know, one of the commissioners made a comment, because you can go read the minutes of these meetings, and one of the commissioners said that from the buildings briefing, he was surprised at the condition of the county buildings. And this was somebody that's already been in office several years, okay? And so I'm thinking, come on now, you mean if I was district manager and I'm going into my buildings, if I'm a
Right.
commissioner,
Right.
I ought to be walking in.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go in and...
Mr.
and-
Stroud,
and
what are you doing?
trying to
What's
I'm not
going
trying to
on here?
micromanage anybody.
No, we ain't gonna do that.
But for the morale too,
Yeah.
like another one of the comments I read in those meetings was one of the commissioners was giving a report about the Department of Health and Human Services. I mean, we all know that building's dilapidated. I mean, it's about its end of time. I mean, it's just what it is. But the people felt like nobody cared about them that worked there.
Yeah.
The people felt like they were out there on their own. Nobody cared. And as commissioners, we ought to be going out and visiting people.
Yeah, you gotta
and
be
just shaking their hand.
Yeah,
and saying, "I appreciate what you do. Thank you for serving our community."
Walking the beat.
And they got to feel like they're important.
Yeah.
They got to feel like they're part of the team.
How can we help you?
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
And so, and I think that's something that,
Yeah.
that my focus is on, and getting the community, like Shawn said, just to kind of dovetail all that, getting the community involved, because it used to be years ago. You know, we had people that would donate land and just because they wanted to be part of the county, they wanted to help the county.
Yeah.
And I think if we get out there and
Yeah.
we work hard and we get all the citizens involved and ask for their input, I think
They gonna-
90,000 citizens and people in this county, they're smart people,
Yes,
and we need
yeah.
to be, listen. We're just a group of 5 people. That's what you got on the board,
Yeah.
and we need to be asking citizens for you know,
Exactly.
help, for ideas. You know, maybe they got a buddy that knows how to do something. It ain't always about tax and spend.
We got them, man. People, if they get behind us, and they will, because you know, when you get behind somebody, they gonna give the money. Like you said, you know, you get behind a good idea and the community feel good and everybody's doing good, they gonna give money. You know, the taxes
and
is
it
gonna
goes
be
to,
down there.
it goes to this too. You know, one of the things I'd heard, especially in law enforcement, is some of the best leaders never wore a stripe, a bar, or an eagle, because the best leaders are those that are on the line level working. You know, and
Yeah.
we need to think about that in our community as well.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we may end up being community leaders, but you know, the knowledge base
Yeah.
that our workers have,
Oh,
that we
man.
have within the community, we have to tap into those resources.
Definitely.
And I want to piggyback one more thing, and I know we keep kind of piggybacking off the same thing.
You know,
But
Because it's
you
a
know,
team. You
yeah.
guys work
So
as a
here's
team.
the thing. You know, Brian had talked about, you know, going to these buildings. One of the best leaders I ever worked under was a town manager, Ed Evans, and the one thing that Ed did every single week is he made it around to every single department within the city.
yeah, it's walking the beat. It's simple stuff. It's everyday business. I don't think everybody's doing everyday business. I don't see nobody walking around down like I am eating, trying to find a place to eat. We're going to change this thing, people. I'm telling you, you're going to have a voice this time. Man, look at these people. These are people just like all of us. You can approach us. I'm sorry.
No, it sounds like you have concerns, and it's teamwork and fellowship and getting out and seeing the citizens, because the citizens do have a say.
Yes.
They're the ones that, put you guys in office, and they want results.
Yes.
And they want results that's going to be positive and pleasing to each and every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'd like to turn around and if I could, I want to hone in on something specifically, because again, a lot of citizens that I've run across are talking about the Great Meadows mega site, and what seem to be your concerns, and Brian, I'd like to start with you, please.
Well, so I announced that I was going to run for county commissioner, and I'd seen the big article come out with the big check and all that stuff, 35.8 million from the state, and so I knew a little bit about it. Of course, like most of you, we don't find out things until it's in the paper, and so that's just a frustration. But as a potential leader in the county, I really hadn't had a position on it, because I didn't have enough knowledge to get a position on it.
I understand.
But I'll tell you, there's some smart people out in this community, and as soon as that came out in the paper, they started reading, researching, finding other articles, looking up things,
Right.
and they started, forming this group, which everybody's talked about, and which I saw the fireside chat yesterday. County come out, kind of backpedal a little bit, and that's fine, whatever, saying there's misinformation. But here's the thing. I just thought, well, this is Brian Barrier, and I do have a thought about it.
Yeah.
A personal, but I won't be. This ain't
Sure.
the Brian Barrier show.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
I'm gonna be
Sure.
representing 90,000 people out
Yeah.
there, and I need to find out what 90,000 people think, or as
Right.
many of them that'll talk to me. You see these news organizations; they do all these polls, and they might get 300 people or maybe 1,000, and so they get an idea based on those 1,000. Well, I did that. I went to Facebook. I went to that big group, Let's Talk Burke County, and all I didn't put my opinion. I just said, "What's your thoughts on the 1,400 acre mega site?" And I didn't know. A lot of people said they didn't have any idea what I was talking about. They thought it was the Cathy Road industrial site.
Right.
So I
The
shared those.
micro site. Sure.
I shared those articles with them on the Facebook. But I got about 300 comments or so between 3 different Facebook pages. I started asking all my friends and my family and giving them the information. Said, "What are your thoughts? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad?" And I think I only had 2 comments that said, "We're for it." And so that kind of gave me my position, because that's marching. And these people were people that were what I would consider liberal. They were people very conservative.
Yeah.
They were normal Joe,
Just people.
business people. So I felt like I had a good enough survey of people to say, hey, no matter what I want, that's what I see the community wants, and they're against it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it kind of exploded from there.
Sure.
And which is, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm going to tell you something. The people that are in leadership right now, they know that they're going to have to communicate with the citizens.
Sure.
Because in America, we're tired of the big government.
That's right.
That's right.
Period.
Absolutely.
That's
and
right.
you're going to have to communicate.
That's
I
right.
get that. Mike, your concerns.
Well, my concerns, right? This is easy for me. I listen to Fireside Chat. I like Brian and Scott and all those things, what they're doing and stuff while they're trying to communicate and those kind of things. But to me, we ain't took care of what we got first. They're only going to be use 30% of the land up there anyway. From what they're saying from all the different things. But I'm more concerned about what we already started. We got the micro plant's what I'm calling it, the micro site. You can talk mega plant and mega site for that other place, but the micro site is one we already got that's got potholes in you can't drive through that place out there. We can't take care of that. We ain't got much water up there. I mean, we're building stuff, and it's a build it they will come. This ain't the Field of Dreams movie, and I believe in building things, and I like all that kind of stuff, and I'm progressive. I like things popping. I want the best, but we ain't took care of what we got now. You ride around, look, I mean, this not rocket science. This is easy stuff. Now, if we've got an opportunity with the mega site and they've done all the reviews and stuff, we got that ace in our pocket, man. We got that on lockdown. Let's get the roads right first. Let's talk about the state and the infrastructure and the railroad and all that kind of stuff. We ain't done some basic stuff we need to do right now. We can't maintain something. You can't build something you can't manage now. And I believe in that. I stretched my business out one time before, but if you can't manage it, if you can't provide customer service and everybody can't benefit from it, you're wasting your time. Now, I'm not saying that's a no for me on everything in the future, but I'm all about, hey, we got to turn inward. We got to take care of the house now, fix the fences we got now, the roads right now, and let's fix that up, and then we'll talk about some other things. We got potential. We got potential to people we got in the house.
Well, there's some concerns out there, and you guys raised them. Shawn?
And I'll go back and piggyback on what Mike said. I am definitely a no against Field of Dreams. You know, we seen where that got us with Kathy Road.
Right.
I mean, when did that start? Early mid '90s.
2005.
So, and so there you go. So, I mean, we've been in this almost 20 years. You know, so with that being said, you know, I kind of like Brian, as I was out talking to the folks when I was on the East End talking to people. Some of the people had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that did, but and then I spent time because I've got a small farm, so I'm a farmer. Have some cattle and livestock and things of that nature. So I'm talking to the farmers up there, and they're totally against it. I mean, it's destroying farmland, it's destroying timberland. And again, I'm asking for my benefit. I'm a lot like Brian. I didn't know enough about it. I'm trying to educate myself. I knew what my feeling was, but I don't want to inject Shawn Freeman's feeling. I want to be able to reflect what the citizens want. But I was pleased to hear some of the things that I was hearing because it really coincided with my thought process.
Right.
So, you know, when I started hearing about the potential, you know, hazards to water treatment or to our water sources, when I heard about, you know, the destruction of farmland and timberland and, you know, and again, we advertise ourselves as nature's playground, right?
Right.
And then right in the middle of our playground, we're going to put a big industrial site.
Right.
You know, what sense does that make? Does that not, you know, contradict everything that we've been trying to promote ourselves as?
Right.
You know, and here's the other thing, you know, they talk about, again, the field of dreams, you know, build it and they'll come. Go in, clear it, put the infrastructure into it, meaning water, power, everything else. I know some of that money's coming out of that money that's been allotted from the government, but I couldn't imagine, what is it? Is it 35 million that's been allotted? Brian?
35.8.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine all that being enough to clear, put the water lines, the power, sewer, everything else into that facility, and then try to recruit people to come in. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking if we really want to recruit people, let's think about some of the other areas that has some of this infrastructure already in place. Why are we not looking at some of the Drexel Heritage places, some of the places on the East End that has some of that infrastructure? You know, and with that being said, you know, with everybody that I'd heard, I never heard one person, not one, with a positive thing that was coming out of that site. And again, that's why immediately, you know, I was like, look, you know, my stance is no. Why would we destroy farmland and timberland for something like this? Mm-hmm. You know, let's look at other valuable options at this. That was kind of my
I don't
stance.
think we're looking at the home team enough. Yeah, I keep coming back. It's not a selfish thing. There's no agenda with me. And I think when it comes to the citizens and stuff like that, it's got to be like that for all of us that are serving the citizens. You know, just my business. Just take my business. We've got a way to house the whole world. $20 a square foot, you know, that kind of thing. You don't want to hear stuff like that. We can develop anything with our people. We got the best bridge, and I've worked on bridges and dams in the state, you know, and they always bring us in to fix them before they went down, you know, kind of fix it up, repair it, you know, that kind of thing. But we got the best people here in Burke County. Man, we can have the best looking of everything. I'm all about the looks and the appearance and the way things look, and, you know, we got to cut things back and make it look good. We got to serve the citizen, and listen to the blue collar people. You know, Shawn's exactly right. People out there in the fields making things work in the service industry, they see all the problems. They know what's working, what's not working. Listen to those people. These people are highly educated people in all these fields, and we're not utilizing people, our own team, to make things work.
You know,
Look, let's recruit. And I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
You know, we're talking about, you know, building it, they'll come. Why are we not out there recruiting business? Let the business come into our area and let them evaluate. Let them be the ones to put the money in place to make these things happen. Let's let the business come in, say this is where we want to be, and let them invest the money and the time and the educating of the people of what they want to do. You know, I've seen that far too many times in other municipalities I've worked in, where you know, our planning department, things of that nature, say, okay, we've got a business, and I'll throw one out that happened from a buddy of mine who's a county commissioner in South Carolina, and Continental Tires came in and said, look, we want to put a business in your area. And so they started saying, okay, let's talk about what you got to offer. And so they set up meetings with the community to let the community know this is what they want to do. And they let representatives from there. But they, Continental Tire, were the ones to come in and invest the money. They were the ones that took the time to look for the land site.
Sure.
We Sumter, South Carolina assisted them, but ultimately, you know, they were the ones to do all the investing. why would we ever take, taxpayer dollars in any shape or form and say, let's build it and hope they
We're
come.
not that desperate. We're not that. We got the last frontier. We got the. We ain't got to give it away. If we're gonna give, it's gonna have to stay in house.
Well, I think too, sometimes, the problem is we get sold a bill of goods, our leaders. We got all these outside experts and professionals,
I don't
and,
like the
and,
outside.
and they come in and they tell you, well, this is what the industry's doing. I'm an industry expert, and kind of like what you were just saying, talking about, I'm all about limited government, guys. I'm going to
That's
go
right.
back over and
Yeah, I'm
over
with
and
you.
over and over, because the only thing you do when you grow government is put a burden on the taxpayer, period.
That's right.
Because we're getting ready to have this mega site, even if they only develop 165 acres, according to the fireside chat, if we have all that land in the name of Burke County, there goes your tax base. They won't be, that those folks that own it, maybe they could have built some houses or whatever they wanted to do, and that would have been tax money. So if we end up with 165 acres, but the rest of that 1,300 total acres, if that's all in the county, of course, we don't know what's going to happen because there's no information coming
That's
out.
right.
It's very limited.
That's right.
But I'm saying there goes more tax base
No.
shifting to the people, and we got to be careful about who we're letting telling us what to do. These big government, big pharma, and all this stuff, they want to come in and tell you how to run your county. But listen, we got a sheriff. It's our last line of defense. When the crazies, start doing crazy things, he's it. And I told him that. I said, as a citizen, I want you to know, you my last line of defense, man. Like I'm gonna count on you when stuff gets crazy. Same thing, and I want to say something about the county employees. I will tell you that since Crystal Carpenter, for instance, took over the clerk of court, man, that whole just having a good leader, and that's an elected leader. So I'm glad she got elected because the attitude in that department has changed.
Yeah.
Like I've been in there, and those people have been very friendly.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Stephanie Norman, like she runs a good department over at Registered Deeds.
Absolutely.
And so it's so important that if we're elected, now they're elected people too.
Yeah.
Okay, so citizens made a good choice there. But on these department heads, we just got to be careful that the people have the values of Burke County.
Sure.
And that they're going to understand the service end. Mike's all about service.
That's right.
And so we need to make sure that people that we hire as county commissioners, that they're all about serving the people.
Exactly.
And that they believe in freedom, and they believe in liberty, and they believe in values that the people around here believe in.
Yeah.
I mean, they can tell you about this big government, well, we have to do this and we have to do that, but at the end of the day, this is Burke County,
Yeah.
and we may be the last resort, the last vestige of liberty and hope at some point in the future. So we got to make sure that people,
We're gonna be the best.
we got to make sure that the people that we hire have values of Burke County.
Well, and you bring a good point up too, at the fact of where I think we failed as a Republican Party, and in politics in general. And again, I'm Republican, so I'm gonna focus on that. Is the mentoring and bringing up of like-minded people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many times, I think our party in some ways have been infiltrated, and we've kind of got our values kind of blurred. But I think that it's important that I'm not one that's going to go in and camp out. I can assure you of that into this position, because you have to have a fresh mind coming in periodically to keep things moving in a positive direction.
Next generation.
But we've got to have folks ready with like-mindedness who are good stewards of tax dollars to step up, that can fill these shoes and then take over the next
Yeah,
generation of
exactly.
moving us forward.
I'll tell you a little cool piece of data. We're talking about parties. The Republican Party is about 23,500 registered Republicans in Burke County. The unaffiliated, because they're sick of politics, is right on their heels, 20,000, over 20,000 unaffiliated, okay? So I'm telling you, people are fed up with politics.
Yeah.
They fed up with the good old boy system.
Yeah.
I think, we didn't come into this to run as a team, but we got a lot of things that we all have
We're
common
working
agreement
class
on.
people. We're blue collar workers. We're for the people, by the
Transparency.
people, transparent.
That's right.
Yep.
So when you come around people just like normal citizen, it's easy to team up with people you love and you care about, and they're concerned about the county, concerned about the family, and so
And like-minded.
Yeah, and like-minded.
Like you were saying,
Yeah.
Brian, like-minded.
And for me as an individual, I mean, I appreciate you letting me get on this blog and all, or the video, whatever we're going to do with it. But, for me personally, like, I just want people to know that we're going to be transparent.
Yeah.
And they've both of them said we're going to be transparent. But because I'm going to tell you, if we get elected, that's my name out there, and his name and his name.
That's right.
Look us up and call us on it.
and-
Play the video back.
That's right.
Put it on national TV.
Transparency, and some, like the mega site. I said, hey, if we're gonna shoot the video, I want to make sure that we all, for our own reasons, okay, we're all individuals. We ain't always gonna agree up there. Mike's maybe a little more progressive on some things, and maybe Shawn's focused on law enforcement. And maybe I'm focused on living the government. I mean,
That's right.
but I'm just saying that we have the interest of the citizens, and we want the feedback of the citizens,
right.
and that's the big thing for me.
Yes.
Because there's so much out there we can do, like both of them have said, but we got to do it for people out there. Like we got to have them tell us, hey, that's our money, and here's how we want it spent.
That's right.
There's some things you just don't have a choice. The government from the state has laws on the books that says here's the things you're going to provide. Okay, and but we got to provide those things very smartly, and we got to ask for community help on some things.
That's right.
And I don't think we need to be
y'all
shifting.
gonna help us because y'all gonna like us.
It ain't gonna be about always shifting it to every taxpayer.
That's right,
That's
man.
right.
They gonna get behind us.
That's all good. Like I said, I'm hearing nothing but good things coming out of this group, and I understand, working as a team and working collectively. I'm sure there'll be some of you that you may not agree on every topic, but you're looking out for the safety and concerns and the issues that Burke County citizens do have. You're talking about, build it'll come and that kind of thing, and I think we've all seen, for mere fact of is, look what's coming.
Yeah.
Sheets, for example. They're looking for people here in Burke County to work with them. They're a big noted company. They brought themselves in.
Yeah.
We look at places like Longhorn as a restaurant. We all know how crowded that stays all the time. They were progressive enough to come in on their own. We look at simple businesses like Cookout. It's always staying busy. But even at Western Piedmont, the School of Math and Science,
Yeah.
they saw fit to come here and build themselves.
Right.
And again, you guys seem to be on right track. This mega
And we can communicate. That's the thing. We like Brian was saying, we may not always agree, but I think that as American citizens, I think that's where we fell short. In the old days, we were always looked at because of our ability to compromise, to come up with solutions. And I think far too many times now people are taking a stand in the hard ground of it's my way or no way. But I think that's where the difference is with the three of us table. We're like-minded.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the common goals, which is to give the power back to the people.
Right.
And we have the ability to sit down and communicate. Even if we don't agree, we can hear what each other's saying. We can listen to the ideas of each other. We can listen to the ideas of our citizens. And then we take all those ideas and put them in a salad bowl and we mix them up and see what we can come up with. Because again, with the three of us as county commissioners, with the citizens involved, there's not one problem we would ever face in Burke County that we couldn't come up with a solution.
Well, and if you think about it too, we have plenty of elected people that the citizens did put in office. And like I said, Banks, Heitzman, our sheriff, we got Stephanie Norman, we got Crystal Carpenter. We got lots of elected people. And we got to spend a lot of time together as elected officials because between all of your elected people, not the people that got hired, but the elected people, that's the citizens right there. And we all got different groups of citizens that we reach. Shawn's got people down east. I come from the western end of the county, and Mike's got all these people up here in the city, and I'm out there in the country, out on the other end of the county. And I'm saying Crystal and Banks and everybody's got a different citizen group, a group of friends, and I think that's why it's so important for elected officials to not get out on the island by ourselves, but say, hey, we're going to come together and we're going to talk about how to solve problems and things we need and way to do it, because I know all those people and they're all very frugal. They're frugal. So we got to make sure that, and I'm excited about that because I know, like I've gotten to, as a Republican Party chair, I did get to know those people very well, and they're all great people and they're all frugal. I'll give you just one example. Crystal, I came in when she first got elected and she was back there in her office and she's back there painting. She back there painting herself.
Working.
I mean, she was like putting her own furniture and stuff. She didn't go out and buy it. I mean, as clerk of court, she could have probably took the budget and went out and bought her new office stuff. And she said, "No, I'm not going to waste money. I'm going to do it myself." That shows you care. And they all do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So we're going to work together as a team.
right.
That's what I'm committed to. And I'm really excited about what the future could hold with enough citizen input and people being involved and getting people's morale up and build up in the counties.
That's the key, is that vision and morale. Citizens got to feel invested. When we talk about this regional thing, I want to talk about that a little bit while we're talking, all three of us.
We'll get into that. Last night I just taught I get it. I just taught a class last night in Boston talking about good leaders search for solutions,
Yeah.
and they work together instead of hardlining like you mentioned. It sounds like you guys are looking for solutions, but you want the input from
Sure.
the citizens, because that's so very important. And again, in taking that working compromised look at, trying to help others and not, wastefully spend money.
Right.
Let's capital improvement projects are a big concern with the citizens here in Burke County. Mike, let me ask you, are there some concerns with the projects
Yeah,
that
I've got
you're aware of?
concerns. One of my main concerns is the regional rehab. I'm not for that in any capacity. I tell you what, I'm a very compassionate man, and I believe that you got to help people one on one and all those kind of things, and we can do that. And we've got systems in place now that can do that. But heck, we can't even take care of what we got. And I keep going back to this. We brought in the state thing. That's a good deal for the state. Kind of what we're going to get out of this kind of thing, and the money they say they're going to do it regardless. I don't know. When you talk about running a place for $1.3 million, something like that a year, how you can't even pay the CEOs that kind of money? Who's going to cut the grass? I don't like it. I don't like all the drug dealers that would come here. We got J. Iverson Riddle out there. We got Patton High School. We got Liberty. And you're going to put a rehab regional center right there. I don't like it. If you're going to build something for the family. Build something for the citizens. It's going to build them up. Now the churches and everybody else can take care of things like that. That's the only thing that's going to help people, and they're doing an excellent job on that. And we're going to equip everybody for programs that they need, but you got to be committed to doing something. You got to be in here doing your part. And if you're doing your part, man, we're going to help you out, get a home, whatever it is. You're going to have vision, you're going to have new life. Everything's going to come up. But we can't do stuff like that. I'm against that completely. That's not the answer.
Well, and piggybacking on that, Danny, talking about this, we're talking about doing a regional rehab center that ultimately our Burke County citizens are going to pay for. In the long term, they talk about the $24.4 million that was allotted out of the opioid, that opioid law settlement, and a little bit of somewhere else. They've already had to go back because you cannot use $24.4 million to do renovations. So now they've got $3 million stuck back somewhere because they're saying renovations to the jail would run about $15 million.
Wow.
And they've asked the General Assembly for an additional $12 million to do the renovations. Now, the $24.4 million is over 18 years. So that's where Mike's talking about the $1.355 million a year roughly to run the facility.
18 years, wow.
So, again, you can't hire your professional staff for the 1.355. And what happens at that point? That comes back on the tax base. And again, that's just another way that they're funding their goals on the back of the taxpayers without thinking this stuff through. Now, I want to throw this in as well. If you look at, there's a high number of crimes where drug and crime have a correlation. They're very similar. They play hand in hand. And some of these folks are going to be coming in because they're going to want to dodge jail time, and judge says, hey, this is something you can go to so they're not coming in with commitment.
Right.
And it also means that they can step away at any point in time they want to. I can assure you of this, that it being a regional, the folks that send them up, when the rehab center calls back and says, hey, they're walking out, I can guarantee you they're not going to send a bus or a car to come pick them up. So my concern would be, and I don't have the data in front of me, but what you tend to see in places like this is crime rates
They escalate.
They escalate up.
No,
My other concern is the fact of you will have those that are court ordered there, and I don't know the plans on everything and stuff like that, but I want to make sure that if they're moving forward with this, they've got to be able to say, okay, we have a way to confine the folks that are court appointed so they can't walk out. And I'm not sure that we're looking at that, and here's the other thing I think we're failing on this project as well, is the fact of there's got to be steps coming out of this. Once you achieve and you graduate this program, what do we have moving forward that's going to help these folks become productive citizens? Yeah. Who's helping them in that next step to find a job, to mentor them, to make sure that they're staying clean and stuff like that? I feel, and I've heard Brian say it before, we have a lot of faith-based initiatives out there that are, extremely successful. And let's be honest, if you're 50 to 60% successful in this, that is hugely successful. We should be looking at those folks to lead this project.
I get that.
And if we're talking about this, I mean, realistically, this is not a Burke County issue.
That's right.
This should be funded by the state or realistically by the federal government. It should not be funded on the back of the taxpayers of Burke County.
So what you guys are saying, you'd look into that.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, you know me. I'm all about building other things. That's really going to benefit the mainline families of Burke County. I thank God we got law enforcement and all those kind of things. I want to let Brian speak because don't get me started. You know how I do. I get we're going to clean the place up and it's going to stay clean and we're going to cater to the good people that are out there working.
Brian, how do you feel about this?
Well, I'll talk about two things. One, I just want to finish up a little bit on what they're saying because I may be a little different in some regards, which of course, we're individuals.
That's right.
And because my thing again, folks, is I'm all about limited government. I mean essential services, because as we continue to grow the government, it just costs the taxpayer. And we got to motivate people out in the private sector, and these faith-based organizations they mention that. But I'm going to tell you right now, I am not for spending government money. I don't believe that we're going to go out and keep handing out fish. We got to teach people to fish.
That's right.
And I don't believe that's a government role.
No.
Okay, that's just my personal
That's
opinion.
good leadership.
And so what I'm saying is we got to get the private sector involved in those kind of things. And I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that government's going to fix anything. I mean, Ronald Reagan, you said something about Ronald Reagan, but if you go look it up, he was given an address, and and he said, government, if you just shut the door, if the government would shut the door and go away for 3 weeks, we'd never miss them.
Yeah,
That's right.
And in some regards, that's true. I mean, we're for essential services only. But as far as capital improvement projects, that was one of the questions that one of the newspapers asked, and I've gone through all the planning that we have currently that's already in the works, and they've got a plan, so at least there's
They always
planning
have a
there.
plan.
Okay, I mean, well, it is nice. I mean, I'd like to see a plan.
Yeah.
And planning's important.
Yeah.
And putting things in priorities and
That's
how
right.
you're going to fund them and that kind of thing. It's just I have a difference of opinion on what those are, because this regional center. The only thing that really got me was, and I got told by a commissioner the other day, they kind of was trying to put me in my place and said, well, the jail, that new jail, that's old business. That's done and gone. That's in the past. I don't know why we keep talking about the past. And I'll tell you why I'm talking about the past, folks. I'm talking about the past because it shows the decisions made in the past that affects us in the future. And I think that's so important. We built a $22 million jail. If you go back and read the minutes of those meetings, which I know I'm doing that so you don't have to, but if you read the meeting minutes, and Commissioner Taylor, who of course is retired now, when they were talking about this jail, said, listen, folks, for about $3 million, we can rehab the old jail. Okay, but they went ahead and got outvoted, spent $22 million on the new jail. Now we got that old jail sitting there empty, and now they trying to maybe save face or whatever and put something in that building. But it's just a bad idea, because we should have spent the $3 million there, $4 or $5 million on the Human Resource Center, the courthouse, all these other buildings. When you look at that building report, it's sad, and we're gonna have to address it. We're gonna have to do it smartly, but it should have been being addressed over the last 10, 12 years. But as far as me and the capital improvement, the EMS station number 1. That's going to be done. They've already purchased a piece of land, 4.25 acres for $400,000. That's $100,000 an acre. I think that's absurd that we paid that much. But neither here nor there. That's a done deal. Land's bought. Found out that the hospital lease, the EMS stations behind the hospital, that was a 50-year lease. That lease is up. I don't know why. 5-6 years ago, somebody wasn't on top of that going, hey, this lease is about up. We need to go out and find some property. I feel like what's happened, of course, you don't know what's going on in the secret meetings they don't tell you about, but I feel like we've kind of gotten pushed to the edge here. We're like, gosh, we got to find land right now that's close to the hospital, close to interstate, and so we paid $100,000 an acre for that, and I just think that's wrong. Surely we could have been looking for that early on. So that EMS station's got to be built. I mean, we got to take care of fire and police.
Sure.
And they do have that on the list of things to do. I just think we maybe could have started that earlier and been a little smarter about it.
That's exciting, man. I tell you what, it's like playing football, man. This is our team, man. I'm excited about our team.
Listen, it looked like you guys are running pretty much along with all kinds of just positive things for the county, which I know the citizens would be extremely excited about. I do want to turn around and just bring another issue up, if I could, please. And the whole concern we find is the long-term treatment center. It's becoming an issue, and the citizens are talking about it all over the county. How do you propose to handle this if when elected?
Are we talking about the rehab center, regional rehab?
That's
What we were just talking about.
yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
I want to get your take specifically.
So this is my thing. I know that the opioid money's out there.
Right.
I think that the way they're looking at going about this, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I have a say in this and able to stop this, I think that I will do everything in my power to get this stopped, because I want to keep this off of the taxpayers. And this is only going to become a burden. And Brian, I'm glad he said what he said, because it only grows our government
Yeah.
bigger. And we should be focusing on reducing the
Let's
size of
grow
our
our
government.
streets.
And let's go back to the essential services, because then we can really focus on our tax dollars. We can focus on the infrastructure
Yeah.
we're talking about, because we're going to reduce a lot of these services. And I'll be honest, through history, if you look at it, the reason the government keeps building to be bigger and bigger and bigger is because they're appeasing folks by giving them jobs and things of that nature. And again, this is Shawn Freeman's opinion on this, but they build these positions and they give these people jobs, so they continue to grow the government, and then it becomes to a size that's just unmanageable. And I think that as small as Burke County is, I mean, we're starting to get to that point right now. And this would only add another burden to the government, and it only adds another burden to the taxpayer. And again, I'm not trying to be ill-willed with this, because I feel these folks. We know that opioid addiction and drug addiction, alcoholism,
Sure.
is a mental illness. But I feel wholeheartedly that this should not be based and put on the backs of the taxpayers of Burke County. It should be placed on either a state or federal level.
We have to think about that, and guys, we know that the reputation of Burke County is, one of the first things I got here was I heard that, well, you're moving to a county that has the crazy hospital. So do you think that's a reflection as well too? Would we be branded, or we have a reputation?
Well, we're going to have a
of-
reputation with it, but I think we're going to have a change of vision and people. I tell you what, I think people are going to feel our leadership. Because they're going to say, hey, man, these guys are getting it done. They're cutting things back. It's looking good. People are feeling better. And they're going to support us because they're going to feel like they're part of it. It's not going to take as much effort, because everybody's going to say, hey, man, I want to be a part of Burke County. What they're doing it right.
Yeah,
Brian?
Well, I just wanted to comment. We do have some county leaders that have lost family,
Sure.
sons and daughters.
Yeah, we feel for that.
But I just want people to know that probably all of you have some friends or family. Okay,
We all have.
But I'm going to tell you something. Nobody feels any worse than I do. I've lost 3 siblings to drug and alcohol addiction, the results of that kind of stuff, and so I know how important it is. But I'm just going to keep going back to saying that government, we all know it. Government is inefficient. It don't do things well. Ends up costing people money, and we have got to get in the private sector involved.
That's
These
right.
these organizations out there like Christ Center Recovery Program, they moved out the country a little bit because they were given a big piece of land. They got a bigger facility. I know they can hold about 50 guys right now out there, and they're doing it right. And we need to be supporting faith-based, because you're not going to fix the addiction until you fix their heart.
That's right.
I mean, that's just
That's
the end of everybody would agree with that, I think, for the most
Absolutely.
part. So we got to get the government out of the way. I mean, we got to just free private market. We need to be back to the individuals and the faith-based organizations, and they want to do it. And if they had that funding for the treatment end of it, okay, I think we could get citizens. I mean, I'd invest.
Oh, yeah, people
I'd
will.
invest. People. I mean, we got people with a lot of money in this county.
Our county loves each other.
Yeah,
Everybody
that's
loves
right.
each other, and we're going. And I
But
think
if-
once there's new leadership,
And,
like
and
that,
if we keep giving out the fish instead of teaching people to fish, then the people that would normally, be given money, that have a lot of money in the county, that love the county,
Yeah.
if they see government doing it, well, they're not going to do it, and it's just going to cost everybody. So we got to keep getting back out in the community.
That's right.
I think, like I said, we've covered a wide range of topics today, and I'm real proud that we've had the opportunity
Thank
to at
you.
least sit down. I know the fact of that later on tonight, gentlemen, you'll be at Western Piedmont Community College at 6 o'clock for a question and answer forum there. And I know all 3 of you will be there, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. So at Western Piedmont in the Leviton Auditorium later on this evening at 6 is an opportunity to be able to meet the 3 candidates exclusively. You may have some questions, and it's a great opportunity for the citizens to really get to know you guys as well too. So I'd like to always ask, how Shawn, how can people contact you if they'd like to come around and reach out with some questions or concerns?
So you can easily find me on Facebook through Messenger. through email, ask around. There's a lot of people in town that has my cell number. If I don't return a message immediately, it will be in a very short time frame. Stop me on the street, whatever you have to do, but I'm more than willing to sit down with any one person or any group of people and talk about your concerns.
Sure.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have all the answers, but again, I have folks I can come to that may have that experience as well, who will help us to develop an answer.
That's good. Mike?
Yes, well, you can find me at electmikestroud.com. I've got us tagged on Facebook, Shawn and Brian. I'm excited. This is our team. I like everybody. I'm for the county, but I think people are ready for a change. I think people are ready for people that are like them, that can identify. It's good to have a choice. And this is our choice. This is our team. Hometown boys. And I'm from Rock Hill, Richmond. Y'all know that. But I've been here since the '90s, and I've seen everything that's taking place. And man, I'm here to see our citizens, everybody come up. I mean, the blue collar, everybody, and just be happy again. And that's possible with a change of spirit.
Brian, how can people contact you?
Easy to get a hold of me. I do have a little website, brianbarrier.com. I'm on Facebook, of course. If you just Google Brian Barrier, well, first of all, you're going to see a bunch of articles about the brain barrier because there's a bunch of medical stuff about that. So, but you'll find me on Facebook.
Smart guy.
Yeah, right. You'll find me on Facebook, and my cell phone number's listed on the website, brianbarrier.com. A lot of people have found me because I've had a lot of people contact me that I don't have any idea who they are. They've messaged me on Facebook, texted me. So obviously my number's easily available. I don't mind talking to anybody, kind of like Shawn. I've been up late at night talking to citizens that I've never met before, asking me questions, the concerns they have, and they know. If you've tried to contact me, if I don't answer the phone, I'm gonna call you back. It's getting a bigger group of people getting a hold of me. So, but please reach out to me. Happy to talk to anybody.
That's great. It's wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been wonderful having this, conducting this forum with the three candidates running for Burke County Commission. I really do appreciate you taking the opportunity to review and contact these men. They're all wanting to work and serve the citizens of Burke County. So again, I'm Danny Dixon, your moderator, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for viewing this video.